Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, as you've seen in the title, I'll be talking about how I read the Bible and different ways to read the Bible. This is usually helpful if you're quite new to the faith or if you're struggling to get into a rhythm of actually reading the Bible. Because sometimes if you're not into a rhythm of doing it, actually puts you off wanting to read the Bible. I hope I'm not the only one that finds that to be a struggle. So I'm just going to show you guys the different things that you can do to get yourself into the rhythm of reading the Bible, and also different ways to read the Bible and things to take into consideration. Guys, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's get to it. Guys, one of the things I usually tend to do is I try to read a book at a time. Sometimes you can choose to start with either the New Testament or the Old Testament. I like the New Testament just because it makes a bit more sense. But honestly, the Old Testament is sick. Like, the stories in the Old Testament are so engaging. I felt like I was reading a book more than I was reading the Bible. But if you want to know a little bit more, especially if you're new to the faith, I'll normally recommend starting with the New Testament. And sometimes you can do like a chapter a day, just so that it's not too much for you. You can pick a time. I prefer to do it in the evenings. But sometimes if you can find the time, you can do it early in the morning. The first thing you do when you wake up, just making sure that you're getting yourself into the routine of it. And when I'm doing that, sometimes I use the Bible Project. That YouTube page is really good because they break down the Bible for you and they actually help you understand it, and it makes a little bit more sense, so you feel like you're actually engaging while reading the Bible, which is something that I would recommend. The second way that I would recommend is using Bible plans. I know that some people are not really for that, but Bible plans are really useful with getting into the rhythm of reading the Bible. The Bible plans have different topics depending on where you are in your life. They have things about finances, about time, about love life, about mental health, about hope, about peace. They have Bible plans about everything, and getting into a Bible plan actually helps you for that particular season, and you're focused and you feel like you actually need to finish the plan, so it actually keeps you engaged for that period of time. So I'll definitely recommend that. Another thing to do, especially if you're not good at quoting scripture, or if you're not very confident with the Bible, or if you're actually not even interested in doing plans, is you can actually Google scriptures about what you're going through. Like, if you're in a season of maybe doubt, you can Google scriptures about doubt, and trust me, Google has a gazillion recommendations for things like that. What I normally do is when Google actually recommends these scriptures is I'll spread them all across the week, and every week I'll do a chapter and read the entire chapter, and it just allows God to speak to you about that particular thing that you're going through in that particular season that you are in. I personally don't recommend reading just a verse a day, because I don't feel like a verse actually speaks to you, because unless you have the context, you don't really understand what impact that scripture could have on your life. So I normally recommend, if you're gonna find a verse, just read the whole chapter to just get a little bit more into what God is trying to say to you through that. And for all my fellow church goers, guys, when you go to church, usually the pastor, the man or woman of God would usually refer to some scriptures from the Bible as they preach. If they don't, I'll be worried. But so what I normally tend to do is I'll normally tend to note down those scriptures and just spread them across the week, and just pray, obviously, and just read each. I don't read just a verse, but I'll read the whole chapter and get a little bit more context, which I feel is a nicer way. If you're not really in the mood of Googling what you're going through, if you're not really going through anything, you can just use the service that the man or woman of God actually preaches, and use those scriptures as you're reading for that week, and allow God to speak to you through those scriptures. Another way that I would normally recommend, especially if you want to go deeper into reading the Bible and deeper into your relationship with God, is praying the scriptures upon your life. Honestly, because sometimes people are just oh, I just read this, and what is it? As you're reading this, if there's usually prayer points or things that you can actually point out and pray that upon your life. Even as you're reading the story of someone, you could be God, I just pray that in the same way that you open this person's eyes to see this, that you open my eyes to see this, and it gives you that time to actually dive deeper into the word. I know that Psalms is a very good book in the Bible, especially if you want to speak the word upon your life. I'll definitely recommend starting with the book of Psalms. Anyways, guys, I hope you found this really short video helpful. It's just different ways that you could read the Bible that get into the rhythm of it. As I've been growing in my relationship with God, I really struggled getting to a rhythm of it, but these are different ways that I normally use. The one that I normally use the most, and that I'm doing right now, is reading books at a time, and I'm reading a chapter from each book at a time. But I also sometimes incorporate when I go to Transformation Church, shout out, is I usually incorporate what Pastor Michael reads through the service, and I spread that across my week in addition to reading the chapters, because it gotta be extra. But you can find what works for you. I hope this actually helps, guys. If you're still struggling, please feel free to hit me up on my email or my Instagram and we can connect. I really love learning about Christians' journey as they're growing through their relationship with God, and I will see you in my next video.